Yeah, that's right. We are back in the back garden shed. Tonight I'm pretty excited because we are welcoming another 1,000 like-minded souls, all united by the common goal of going skateboarding and getting better at skateboarding. Not half. If you're new to this type of experience, basically it's an hour of me waffling about skateboarding, hopefully guided by yourselves, commenting and try and guide it a little bit, otherwise it will be an awful lot of waffle. I've got me my cup of tea. I'm sure you've got your own beverages primed there. And yeah, let's talk about the channel a little bit. So set the channel up just over a year ago. I've been skateboarding pretty much 3 years, and I was finding after about a year and a half I was wallying about doing the same carving round the bowl style activity. So I thought I needed a bit of motivation to learn some tricks, which I found incredibly scary. And I tentatively videoed myself trying to learn to backside Burt slide and sort of hobbled together a video, and that was the first YouTube video. It got the job done of motivating me to learn that trick, and I sort of got that method going of having a trick in mind, trying to learn it and film the process, and I found it started to create a little bit of momentum in my progression. Here we go. Right, this is where I have to try and keep up because it comes in thick and fast. Congrats on the 7K. I learned how to skate curbs from your video. Yes and yes. I'm saying yes because that is the name of the YouTuber there. So yes, yes, yes. Bit more tea. Just had to go on a big pink ramp. And if you're ever down this neck of the woods, Bournemouth on the south coast of the UK, you might want to go and sample such a thing because it's very pink. And myself and my mate Josh had a lot of fun on the big pink ramp. I'm pretty excited because I've got a new deck. This was a impulse purchase. My good friend Mr. White Sox was getting rid of a few things. We've got a little WhatsApp group, as I'm sure many of you have, a skateboarding WhatsApp group for like-minded dudes and dudesses who may have 5 minutes spare to go to the skate park. Goes on the WhatsApp group, and then we all meet up intermittently. He was getting rid of this, and I have to say I'm pretty excited about this. It's a reissue Jeff Kendall Santa Cruz deck. Pretty 80s, released in 1989, and I've been giving this a whirl because it just caught my eye. It's got a 15-inch wheelbase, which is the same as my beloved Andy Anderson, and it's got a bit of a flatter concave, a bit wider at the widest point. The more observant amongst you will notice that it's got a lot less nose than a modern board, so that puts a bit of extra challenge into the nose stool. And it's got a lovely big tail, and it's got sort of like a kick on the back of the tail, and that sort of glues your foot in place, which also feels quite nice. So set that bad boy up with Santa Cruz rails, which I haven't used before, and these slide like a demon. So I've been having a lot of fun practicing board slides. The extra whip seems to help as well. 159 hollow indies and some Spitfire wheels. I've got a video. My next video is going to be a little review and also a little sort of hark back to reissue boards, and also the idea of relearning tricks you've already learned, because I'm finding that I'm learning quite a lot of tricks, but I'm also losing quite a lot. The upkeep is sort of an irony. The more tricks one learns and pops in one's bag, the more upkeep that bag of tricks requires. And I find that if I don't use it, I lose it. So if I don't find a little nook at the local skate spot for that trick, I've sort of moved on to the next trick because I'm trying to film new stuff all the time, and I end up losing that stuff. So anyway, this is just a classic example of some of the waffle here, and I have to make sure I'm getting through my comments. Do you have any tips for learning tricks? I'm kind of stuck in this spot of not being able to do anything. I mean, there's loads of other ways. I guess focus on that one thing and premeditate going to the skate park, and sort of don't allow yourself to leave until you've done it, and also try and pick a spot that is going to be the most suitable. That can all be part of your pre-trick learning routine. I also visualize an awful lot before I go to bed, sort of dream up. There's sort of things I can do before I go to bed in my head. You wouldn't believe. I'm just amazing. I'm an amazing skateboarder about 5 minutes before I go to sleep. Yeah, tomorrow I reckon I could spin a 540. Yeah, I mean, how hard can it be? Go up, crap. Yeah, and then you obviously get to the skate park, take one look at the ramp or the transition, and something falls on its side, and you realise you were being a bit silly. This is the first live stream I think I've done where I've got full sunlight, so hopefully the picture should be nice and clear. Usually these are done in the dark, and have been so far. I think the last one we did, a 6,000 subscriber live stream, was about a month and a half ago. It generally takes that long to get another 1,000 dudes and dudesses to hit that button, the button that you've all pressed, one would imagine. I always presume that no one's gonna watch me rambling on about skateboarding. I'm always absolutely humbled, amazed, delighted that people do, and it's just such a lovely community, everybody pitching in. I've learnt an awful lot. People are kind enough to share their tips, and my focus is just getting better on the skateboard. That's always been the idea of the channel, and if it helps other people as well, that's an absolute bonus. But you probably noticed that my videos aren't really trick tip videos in a traditional sense, because I just don't feel qualified, because I can't do the trick when I start out. So the whole idea is that I learn the trick and share my thoughts, some of which may be wrong because I'm finding my way through it. By the end of the video I usually correct them, and sometimes I do a part 2 and a part 3. So I feel a little embarrassed sometimes about part 1 of learning a trick, because it's got loads of the mistakes that I'm sure everybody makes. There might be some misinformation in there, and also some ignorance on how the trick should end up looking. I just did a video, the 10 phases of rock to fakie, and rock to fakie's fascinated me because it's, you know, taken me a good amount of time to perfect. And through that, I thought at each stage I was doing a rock to fakie, and then I'd realise in some way I was either cheating or not doing it quite correctly, or there was some way it could be improved. I'd see somebody else doing it, I'd go, oh right, they're clearing their wheels on the way over and the way back, or oh, they're decking it, you know, there's so many different variations. So I found that fascinating, that my viewpoint and my knowledge level could change and evolve, as well as my motor skills for making the trick. Carl, did you ever try your carver trucks on any of your other decks? Getting the C4 for my poke. Yeah, this I did a video on this, which is the Carver C5 trucks, which are their sort of parky street trucks, and I've put that on me Andy Anderson, which I snapped, and some people turn their nose up at it and say, well, it's an Andy Anderson board with a Carver trucks on it, and it is indeed that, but I cracked the tail, so I don't really have, I managed to glue it all back together. I clamped it and I put new deck grip over, sort of hopefully hold it, but I don't really have the confidence in this for going full bore. So this has turned into sort of a cruisy board, and I set it up with these Carver surf skate trucks just to try it out, because it's a 15-inch wheelbase and it felt pretty good. I made a video where I compared these trucks with the Indy trucks to see what the turning was like. You might want to check that one out. But yeah, that is a regular, I guess a regularish skateboard deck, 9-inch, 15-inch wheelbase, and that has got surf skate trucks on. But if you're talking about the real deal surf skate, this has got the big surf skate, whoa, crazy, woo-hoo-hoo, front truck. I guess I could, but I just really like the way this rides. This is just so fun, and it looks a bit like a surfboard. It's got a stringer, and it just excites the small boy in me. It's even got like a deck pad on the back, so being from a surfing background, this sort of pleases me. I can get this out at any point and sort of feel quite happy to jump on, no pads, and have a bit of a cruise. And I will still take the skin off my knee, and I still will probably skin my elbow, but it's all part of the fun, and I quite enjoy a bit of, whoa, you've been out and had a bit of a go, Yeah, sitting back in the chair at the end of the session. There we go. Edson, how old are you? How long do you skate from Brazil? Ah, yeah, we've got a Brazilian ripper in our crew. Big shout out to Leo. He's our Brazilian representative. I am 47 years young. And how long have I skated for? It's coming up for 3 years since I started skateboarding in a sort of recognisable sense. I started out riding this longboard as a mode of transport, but I could literally just sort of push along, maybe turn a corner. That was it. It is a truly international community. Wow. Let's see who else we've got here. Coachy Coach is back. How are your little nippers progressing? Will you feature them again? They are progressing brilliantly. I've got a 5-year-old son, JJ. He likes skateboarding and the scooter. And I've got a 7-year-old, Holly. And Holly likes mostly to skateboard, which is very, very cool. Patch, if you're ever up near London, you should check out Skaterum, near Caterham. It's based inside a church. I've been having sessions there and got my first drop in the other week. I have seen such a place. It looks magnificent. The thought of being able to do some sort of backside or front side air in front of that stained glass window would certainly be a picture one could put on Instagram should one like to do such a thing. It looks incredible. What's the turn angle on that front truck on the Carver? It's very, very acute. One can only describe it as acute. It sort of goes to that sort of degree. It feels ridiculous. I can get more purchase on my feet and my legs, but yeah, it certainly turns sharply and can be quite alarming if you're going at a rate of knots. Olito, yeah. I think showing the video parts, even if they are wrong in the beginning, is better than having one polished correct video. Nice one, dude. Yeah, one of my influences when I started making the videos was a guy called Lance on the Braille. And he used to be the beginner guy, but he was very good at talking through his thoughts in a methodical fashion. And he always got the trick. And I sort of was influenced by that because I, like you, found that more helpful than seeing the polished trick video. And I enjoy watching the polished video because it shows you the possibilities, and also it's good from an educational point of view. Hopefully have the correct trick name and terminology and have the correct, most radical way to do the trick. But yeah, I found some of those videos, I just need that ridiculous amount of information of where the feet go, how it feels at every single point through the maneuver. I need that level of information. That's the way I do it. Some people don't. My mate Sam doesn't need any information. In fact, information puts him off. He's just a feel guy. He needs to just see it and then go and do it. And whenever I try and give him a little tip, I can see it just makes him worse. So we sort of complement each other in a one-on-one skate session because I'm there thinking it through and he's there just naturally doing it, and between the two of us we sort of hopefully come meet in the middle. Yes, gotta love your intro. A lot of people who recorded tricks just show them doing it and not the errors that come with learning a trick. One of the criteria of my channel has become being honest, and I find that's the best policy because I'm not in a position to mislead anybody, and I think if I tried to, I would get found out really quickly and it would be quite upsetting. So I've gone for this honest approach where, yeah, I'm not misleading anybody that in any way. I sort of know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing myself into it and methodically working through it, and definitely, you know, mindful about getting the result. But at the same end, I think it's quite funny and quite amusing. Some of the things that I do when I watch back, they are jolly funny because I'm 6'3", I'm quite gangly, and I do look quite amusing when I come off. Skater Scott, what's up from Southern California? Oh, my dream spot. Can't wait to do that pilgrimage when things open up. It's been on the cards now for 2 years. I'm sort of glad that I didn't do it after 1 year of skating because I really couldn't do much, even though I felt I was doing okay. Now I feel I'm in a better position to enjoy what SoCal may have to offer, which from all that I've seen is pretty hardcore and radical. Wow, Dion's coming from Long Beach in California. I've got a live Iron Maiden record that was recorded in Long Beach. Scream for me, Long Beach! Scream for me! Love your videos. Greeting from Poland. Oh, I like a bit of Poland. It's an awesome day for skating here. Yeah, same here. It was burnt. Again, it's burnt through a treat in Poole in the south coast of the UK. If you ever see that it's forecast for a bit of rubbish weather, we're lucky that we're in a little microclimate where it generally tends to burn through. And you probably notice that quite a few of my videos feature sunlight, and I try and do it that way because I like to aim for an aesthetic and try and better the aesthetic, and I quite get off on trying to make the video production elements, the technical aspect of filming and editing. I try and progress it that as well as the skateboard, and I find that basically shooting in sunlight always looks a million times better if I can do it. So I try and seek those days, but we are very lucky that we have more sunlight days than one would imagine the UK has. Good, so how's that kickflip coming along? It was too hot to skate in Wales today. Oh man! Yeah, the kickflip in the traditional sense where you ollie and then flip with the feet, still having a lot of trouble with, if I'm honest, but I'm getting way more comfortable at flipping the board in the freestyle sense. I've got my freestyle board here, which I featured in a video not too long ago. This is one of Mike Osterman's waltz skateboards. So I've been having a bit of a go on my freestyle board. I did a video not too long back where I tried to do 4 basic freestyle tricks in a row, which was pretty emotional. Oh my gosh. And I'm getting used to finger flipping this bad boy. Warsaw is my home city. Woohoo! I skateboarded somewhere in Poland where it was just like a massive square, and it had oldie-woldy features underneath bits of glass, and you could skate over the glass with ye oldie footings of, one can imagine, a castle or something. And it was the most amazing spot, and there was an awful lot of skateboarders skateboarding in that spot. Wait a minute, studios, it's raining so much here in New Zealand. Oh man. Nice that you're tuning in from New Zealand. What time is it in New Zealand? That must be Medal of Honour for tuning in New Zealand. Must be middle of the night. Coachy Coach, when are you moving? Will you build a new mini ramp? I am moving, and I have another project in mind. I think this time I'm going to go a little bit more adventurous. I might build a little DIY style spot out of some concrete, because I'm thinking that might be a little less noise, and also I do fancy having a go with the concrete. The reason I didn't build my mini ramp out of concrete is I just didn't feel comfortable with working the creep. But there's a great channel about DIY skateboarding and making DIY spots, and he breaks it down in such a way that I feel it's something I could give a whirl. So I'm thinking that might be the project, a little DIY spot, and it will be rough if I make it out of concrete, so it should be pretty crusty. Have you dropped in the vert in Duck Lane? Yes, I have. There is several, well, both of the intro videos, version 1 and version 2, the intro features me falling off of a drop in into Duck Lane, but at the end of those sessions I completed the mission both times. If you go onto my Instagram, there's videos of me doing said thing, and once it's done, it's done. I just needed to do it. Yeah, I was thinking of building a little bowl, little micro bowl. I went out, there's a really old video that I made, if you go back through the channel, of Titus skate shop in Berlin. If anybody knows German skateboard brands, Titus is right up there, and they've got a shop in Berlin, the Titus skateboard company, and they've got a micro bowl in the shop made out of concrete. And in the day, the t-shirts are on a winch, and they winch down, and you walk around the bowl and buy your t-shirts. And then when they close the shop, they winch the t-shirts up, and all the staff have a bit of a skate. And they were kind enough to let me have a go. So if you go back, right back to the start of the channel, there'll be a video on the micro bowl in the Titus Berlin shop, and you can have a look. But it's incredible how much fun you can have out of even the smallest thing, and that inspired me to start thinking about a little micro bowl in the back garden. Woo. There's also a video of a new spot around here called Beaminster, and that's a smaller bowl, and that's a lot of fun. And sort of you start thinking, whoa, maybe I could have this in my back garden. GC, what's your advice on the first lip trick to learn? That is a great question. I think, you know, your standard skate, first 5 trick videos, they'll tell you to learn things like the rock to fakie and the tail stall. And that sort of makes sense in terms of those are the building blocks, and it means you can go back and forth, and they are set up tricks for harder tricks. But they are not beginner tricks in the sense of them being easy. Well, at least I didn't find, you know, everyone's different. I get people commenting on the channel saying I learnt this in 10 goes. You know, other people are like, the rock to fake is easy, why are you making it out to be so hard and dangerous? And it's like, because I found it really hard and really dangerous. And I think there's other people out there that would attest to the rock fakie being terrifying and dangerous. I'm possibly not alone. So I think in terms of tricks to learn on the coping, you know, I went for things like the carve grind, which isn't really a lip trick, I guess, but it's getting used to just grinding the trucks across the coping. And that was a surfer in me. I could sort of relate to that. And I really enjoyed doing that. And I also did slash grinds, which is where you come up and then it's a kick turn, but you just go a little bit further and you scrape the truck. And that kept me entertained for ages. And that was the reason I had to set up the channel, because I was quite happy just going as fast as I could round a bowl and doing backside carve grind, all 4, you know, double trucker, and then doing a front side carve grind, and then just trying to do variations on that. So putting in a little, you know, grab of the hand as I did the carve grind. And then also we're very lucky here that we've got a crazy bowl called Duck Lane, which features in my videos, which has got like a sort of micro bowl section of 3 bowls, and then it's got a big snake run, and then it's got like a square bowl which you can use as a mini ramp, and then it's got a deep bowl like an old style 80s sort of round bowl. So I just spent forever dreaming up lines of, oh, can I connect that pocket into that pocket, and is it possible to get out of that turn, is it too tight? So I just, after about a year, I still hadn't even thought about doing an axle stall or a rock fakie, because I was just into this surfing on concrete approach. So I had to make sure that I was doing it. Another issue that I had around our area is that none of the ramps were small enough or mellow enough to learn any lip tricks. I just found it too scary. Even the duck, which is 3.5 foot, still didn't quite compute, you know, in concrete. It was like, so when I built my own mini ramp, which was just under 3 foot and wood, and I got a bit of confidence on that, and that's when I started being able to learn the coping tricks. That still doesn't answer your question. So yeah, it'd be slash grinds, which are kick turns a bit higher up. If you can get into doing carving grinds around corners and things like that, I think that helps your general riding. And then it is going to be, I mean, the axle stall has taken me, I'm still not 100% there with it. It's taken me, I've got videos of me doing axle stalls, yeah, over 2 years. Over 2 years ago when I was like doing them, and I still can't do them every time. You know, I see guys do them and they do them every day, never fall off of an axle stall. Whereas I'll do, like, you know, 1 in 10 I'll come a cropper, and the rest will be, you know, but that proper locked in lovely axle stall is still something I'm aiming for. I still practice it a lot. Same with a 50-50 grind. And the rock fakie I've been practicing an awful lot and did the video on, and that's probably the most locked in trick I've got other than the tail stall. The tail stall took me ages. It scared me to death. I just didn't do it. I used to go rock fakie fakie rock, backwards and forwards. So I guess it would be your rock to fakie tail stall, because that gets you in a half pipe. It gets you over and back, over and back. And I remember seeing a video of a dude doing that. Simplest thing in the world. Drop in, rock fakie, tail stall. And I just remember thinking, I'll be happy if I can do that. If I can just get that down, I'll be happy. And I sort of am, because I can go to a ramp, as long as no one else is there, I can go to a ramp and quite happily just go backwards and forwards like on a big swing set. And yeah, it's just so much fun, and it's exceeded my expectations, because I secretly sort of thought I'd never be able to do it. So now that I can sort of fudge a rock fakie and a tail stall, I'm pretty excited. Coach, what's your favourite to skate? Mini ramp, street, bowls, freestyle. Great question, dude. I think it changes with the mood. I love the psychological aspect of like skateboarding, also like a meal. You could fancy certain things on certain days. I'm pretty excited about mini ramp skating because I think that's, you know, it's so condensed, and see if you can get your tricks, and it's lovely for a session because you get a couple of feeding off of each other. I love the bowl because it's got that surfing element and trying to link lines and flow, and also I can take the ideas from the mini ramp and see if I can find a home for them in a bowl run. I love the creative aspect of street, almost like an art form where you're trying to create something and it's a battle of adversary. So that's never been designed for skateboarding, and yet you're trying to find a way to skateboard in that environment. I find that very exciting. And also, you know, the old pads are a little bit frowned upon in street, so there's a little bit more consequence, which ups the adrenaline levels. And the freestyle I like because it's tinkering around and I can do it, you know, there's no pads or any get up. I can just put my Vans on and grab my freestyle board and start playing around with it, albeit, you know, on the rug in the front room if it's raining, or down at the local basketball arena, which seems to be where all freestyle takes place, on a basketball court. Mark G, good evening, dude. Hope you're having a lovely day. I'm having a lovely old time. Calf grinds are a great trick. Yeah! You know, just the ridiculousness of the whole event. I tend to like obnoxious noise, so anything that makes, you know, Burt Slide is my, you know, it's just so obviously annoying to anybody that isn't doing it. Sort of like jazz music, the only people that are entertained are the people making the noise. Everybody else wants it to stop. Rube Tube, when are you going to release your merch? I already have done a run of t-shirts, sir, and they sold out, which was very, very humbling, and I was very pleased, and I enjoyed the entire process. I created the logo. There was a little bit of input from some of the channel members, which was lovely, and it was sort of a rehash of the Yeah Right logo from that iconic video, and I put that's in there, so it was Yeah That's Right, which is sort of one of my catchphrases, if you will. Where'd you get all those cool shirts? This is Hoax Skateboarding. It's a UK lifestyle brand. This is actually Hoax Skateboarding, but they make all sorts of surf style repertoire. They were kind enough to send me a few items of apparel, which I am very fond of. I really do like them. And they were also kind enough to do my first run of my own t-shirts. They printed those up with their in-house t-shirt printing operation. So I was pretty stoked to get their help, and they've been great, and I always tag them in my stuff, and I like wearing it because it's stuff that I like. Hill bombs, yeah, I did a video on such a thing, Mr. Privacy, and got the gloves on, and this is my hill bombing board. This is the JM Duran. This has got the long wheelbase. As you can see, it's pretty long. If I compare it to my freestyle deck, it's pretty laughable. Hold on. There you go, you can see. It's a different kettle of fish. So that's a long wheelbase, long board, I guess. And yeah, I did a video where I sort of learnt various slides with the gloves on, checking your speed, power slides. I do enjoy sliding. I like the Burt slide. I like the downhill slide. I just like the feel of drifting and doing all that crazy caper. And most importantly, I love the noise because it is so obnoxious. Hey, James is here. Good evening, James. James Rogers, my good friend. James was there at the very start and will attest to some of my early attempts at bowl riding. James was an original gangster and had some very natty coping tricks that I was always amazed by. And we used to go to the Duck Lane Bowl and skate together and see what occurred. And what usually occurred was me falling flat on my ass. Yeah, but we had a lot of fun. Rich Grosky, I love it when you say your catchphrase. It sounds like not off. I still don't actually know what you're saying. Great, this is a great question. So let me give you all of my catchphrases are stolen in some way. There's nothing original in my skate channel. And if you lived in the UK in the 1990s, as I did, there was a TV show called The Far Show, and they had comedy characters, and one of the sets of characters were, I guess, just gently poking fun at old school British radio DJs. And they would speak in this crazy fashion, the 60s radio DJ. And one of the catchphrases from that show was not half. So, as in to say the whole thing. So what you're saying is, yeah, it's the real deal. It's the whole thing. So not half. It's actually the whole. But because of my accent and the way they said it, nobody in, North America or basically anywhere but the south of England can understand what I'm saying. And if you're not mid-40s and from the UK, you wouldn't know the reference of these disc jockeys going, not half. And they would say things like, that record's one of my all-time favourite records of all time, not half. But it's taken so far out of context that I don't expect anybody to know what it is or what it means. It just sort of pleases me. While we're on the catchphrases, I don't think I've ever revealed the story of, yeah, that's right, because that is also stolen. And I used to go out to Cape Town with a group of mates, and we used to go surfing and kite surfing and stay there. And there was a jazz club in Cape Town, and at that jazz club they had jazz acts, and all being musicians, we all liked a bit of jazz, so we go along to the jazz club. And one night there was a saxophone player, and he wasn't the greatest saxophone player, but just in one solo he got the right note, and he really lent into this note, and all the locals got really excited, and one of the locals stood up and went, yeah, that's right. And it was just because the note was so good. So for the rest of the trip in Cape Town, we were all doing, yeah, that's right. Richard Grosky, are you still going to create content after all this COVID stuff calms down, or is it back to making music for you? Yeah, I'm lucky, Richard. I'm still making music. It's turned a little bit more online in its nature. I've had to be a little bit proactive in there. The live opportunities definitely, it's fair to say, they reduced. And they're supposed to be slowly coming back, not quite as quick as we thought because they've extended it by 4 weeks. But you're quite right in noting that the COVID was an opportunity to do this and a good outlet for creativity. And I sort of wrote some tunes as well. It made me do that, and it makes me learn tricks. But I love skateboarding. There's no way I'm going to calm down. I might calm down the frequency. Doing a video a week, I know it sounds pretty... like you're not setting any records, but you'd be amazed how quickly that weekend comes round. So I post it on like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depending on what happens. And then before I know it, it's Wednesday. And I'm like, ooh, what are we working on? What are we going to do? What's the trick? So I've got a never-ending amount of ideas and tricks I'd like to learn. I've got a book that I keep. I've got my skate diary, and my skate diary is full of ideas and tricks that I want to get together. There's a trick list. And oh look, there's some sketches of the backyard bowl, and yeah, own bowl design. There's a little bit. I started a little bit of a skate diary when I started. I put each session and then write down what I did and how it was going, and some goals and things I needed to improve. I've just got that sort of detailed mind, and I did a SWOT analysis when I started: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Let's see what the threats were. Injury. Time off of work or not being able to look after family, the cost of kits and fees. I think that's pretty accurate. So yeah, that's my skate diary, and I've lost track. I've had too much tea, I think. Yeah, funny these catchphrases you hear. There's a guy in Barcelona that would do a full blast cat noise, no holding back. Yeah, I tend to do a if somebody does a good trick, I go boop boop. And God knows why. I only do it now and then. I catch myself doing it. It's like I've heard somebody else do something and I realise I've done it. I think I only do it when my mate Sam does the rad things that he does. Boop, boop. Ray Guzman, tried to do a frontside coping slash this morning and I can't do it. What's the secret? Well, it's very scary, dude. Yeah, I guess it's got to be a bit of... I tend to find it's for me it's three things. It'll be the line, which is the angle in, the speed, and also the bendy knees. For me, it just seems like everything gets better if I bend my knees. Basically, because I'm a little bit risk averse and I don't have the most amount of courage. So I find that I want to keep my vital organs and my brain and stuff away from the perceived danger. So I just, woo, I'm coming into the coping, I'm get away from there. So it's counterintuitive. Like, I've found many aspects of skateboarding are, you know, if you feel it's time to get away, you should be getting close. And it's mental. What, get closer, get further down there. Yeah, because that's the safest, but your body won't have it. So you've got to train your inner mechanism to learn that that's okay and it's better. And it's the same with, you know, you think, oh, I just start off a little bit tentative. No, go in absolutely hell for leather. That's going to be the best. You know, everything's the opposite, I find. What I want to do, if I do the opposite, generally works out better. In skateboarding anyway, for sure. Right, nice one. That is a cracking, I can't believe an hour's gone. I'm running out of tea. So I think if there's no more business from the floor, I'm going to sign off and say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your comments. Thanks for watching. And thanks for the 7,000 times a finger has hit that subscribe button. Very, very humbling. I'm going to keep going with it, and who knows. Carl says thanks. Yeah, Mr. Bigglesy, big love. Yeah, wicked. So yeah, next video is going to be all about reissue boards and old school tricks and relearning tricks, basically, like losing tricks and the upkeep of tricks. Just my sort of thoughts on what I'm up to with that, because I am concerned, and it does seem pointless to learn a trick and then not do it and then not be able to do it again. Even though I enjoy the process, I'm sort of like a hoarder, you know. You're collecting tricks and popping them in your bag. Oh yeah, I can do that. You know, you do one. Yeah, I can do that now. Move on to the next one. But I found that I haven't learned the trick if I do it. You know, 2 to make it true, that's definitely a good thing to aim for. But like 200 to make it usable, you know, over the space of weeks, for me anyway. And I find that all that changes between a session, if I get to the end of the session and I've done like 20 in a row, all it guarantees is next session, I'll be able to get to that stage quicker. So if it took me an hour to get to that stage where I do 20 tricks in a row, the next day I might get there in 20 minutes. But I'm still going to have that initial stage. There's no way, for me personally, I'm coming up to the skate park and getting it first try. I think that's happened 0 times. And I don't feel I've really learnt a trick until I can do that. So I wake up, get to the skate park, the first thing I do is try that trick and I make it first time. It's fair to assume you've got it in the muscle memory. So I would feel confident doing that with the rock to fakie and the tail stall and the fakie rock and a couple of other tricks. And then after that it starts getting a bit sketchy, starts turning into, woo! Right, how do you make it stop? I can never make it stop. Where's the button?